Rain splattered against the cracked pavement of a lonely gas station on the outskirts of Atlanta. Under the flickering fluorescent lights, a young black teen named Malik leaned against his car, waiting for the tank to fill. He had just left basketball practice, his jersey damp with sweat, his mind on dinner at home. Then, flashing red and blue lights sliced through the night. A patrol car screeched to a stop beside him. The officer stepped out slowly, hand resting on his holster, eyes narrowing with suspicion. Malik froze. He hadn't done anything wrong. But deep down, he already knew. This wasn't about the car or the gas. It was about him. Malik was just 17, a straight-A student who spent most of his evenings between basketball practice and helping his little sister with homework. That night, he had taken a small detour to grab gas before heading home. His mom, Agent Vanessa Carter, was working late again. She was one of the few black women to ever make it into the FBI's counterterrorism division, though few outside her circle knew that. The gas station was quiet, except for the hum of neon lights and the steady drizzle. Malik's old sedan idled near pump number 3. He tapped a rhythm on the steering wheel, humming to the radio, until the headlights behind him grew too bright to ignore. A police cruiser rolled up fast, almost cutting him off. The officer, a tall white man in his late 30s, stepped out with that cold, practiced swagger Malik had seen before in viral videos. His badge read, S. Danner. "Hands where I can see them," the officer barked, even before Malik could open his mouth. Confused, Malik obeyed, heart hammering. The officer's tone carried no uncertainty, just a quiet assumption of guilt. "Sir, what's wrong?" Malik asked carefully. "License and registration?" Now Malik reached slowly toward the glove box, but Danner's hand twitched on his gun. Every movement felt like walking on glass. Malik's pulse raced. He remembered the stories, the headlines, the hashtags. The other side of the pump was empty, the clerk inside too distracted to notice. Malik wanted to believe this would be over soon, just a misunderstanding. But when the officer leaned closer, scanning his skin, his clothes, his car, Malik felt the weight of every unwarranted suspicion fall on his shoulders. This was not going to end easily. The air grew heavier with each passing second. The rain had stopped, but Malik's hands trembled slightly on the steering wheel. Officer Danner's flashlight darted across the car's interior, pausing on a backpack in the passenger seat. "What's in the bag?" Danner demanded. "Just school stuff," Malik replied, his voice steady but thin. "Step out of the vehicle." Malik hesitated. He'd seen enough on the news to know that hesitation could be twisted into defiance, and defiance could turn deadly. Slowly, he opened the door and stepped into the wet pavement, the smell of gasoline thick in the air. Danner circled him like a hawk, eyes sharp, movements deliberate. "Where you coming from?" "Practice," Malik said. "I play for Eastview High." Danner's smirk was cold. "Sure you do." He radioed something into his shoulder mic, eyes never leaving Malik. The words black male, possible suspect, unconfirmed vehicle ID crackled faintly through the static. Malik's chest tightened. He hadn't done anything. His record was spotless. His car was registered, insured, everything in order. Yet here he was, being treated like a criminal in his own neighborhood. The officer opened Malik's backpack without consent, tossing notebooks and sneakers onto the ground. A few papers scattered in the wind. Homework sheets, a folded team schedule, a photo of Malik and his mom smiling at his last game. Danner's jaw clenched. "You think I'm stupid? I've seen kids like you move drugs through this area. Don't play innocent." Malik's heart pounded in his ears. His throat felt dry. "Sir, I'm not—" "Shut up!" The command hit like a slap. Malik froze, staring straight ahead. A camera mounted on the station's awning blinked red, recording every moment, though he doubted it would matter. Then Danner reached for his cuffs. "Turn around!" Panic rose in Malik's chest. He wanted to call his mom, but his phone was still in the car. He wanted to run, but he knew what would happen if he did. So he stayed still, trying to breathe through the fear. As the metal cuffs clicked around his wrists, a small crowd began to form. 2 drivers at nearby pumps, a man stepping out of the convenience store, their faces uncertain but unwilling to interfere. Danner pressed Malik against the hood of the car, his voice low and venomous. "Maybe next time you'll think twice before hanging around here." Tears stung Malik's eyes, more from humiliation than pain. He had no words left, only the echo of injustice in his chest. Then, through the quiet hum of engines and the crackle of the police radio, came the sharp sound of tires screeching to a halt. A black SUV pulled into the lot, its headlights slicing through the night. The door swung open, and when Malik looked up, through blurred eyes, he saw the last person Danner expected, his mother. The SUV's door slammed, and Agent Vanessa Carter stepped out with the kind of authority that made the air itself pause. Her dark suit was still crisp from work, FBI badge glinting beneath the streetlight. She spotted her son, handcuffed, shaking, face pressed against the hood of his car, and her heart clenched. "Step away from my son," she said, her voice calm but edged with command. Officer Danner turned, irritation flashing across his face. "Ma'am, I suggest you—" "I said step away," she repeated, pulling a sleek leather wallet from her coat. With one motion, she flipped it open, the golden emblem of the Federal Bureau of Investigation catching the neon light. The color drained from Danner's face. You're FBI?" Vanessa didn't blink. "Supervisory Special Agent Carter, Counterterrorism Division, and you're currently detaining a minor without probable cause." The small crowd that had gathered suddenly found their voices. Murmurs rippled through the air, cell phones lifted higher, recording every second. Danner tried to regain composure. "He matched a suspect description?" he stammered. "Really?" Vanessa stepped closer, her tone cutting through the tension like a blade. "A 17-year-old kid coming from basketball practice, driving a registered vehicle with school papers scattered all over the ground. That's your suspect?" Silence. Malik stood still, watching as his mother towered over the man who moments ago had held his freedom in his hands. "You see, Officer Danner," she continued, her voice rising slightly, "this is exactly why parents like me have to teach our children how to survive being black in America. Because one wrong glance, one biased assumption can cost them their lives." Danner's jaw tightened. "Ma'am, Don't," she interrupted sharply. "Save it for your supervisor. You'll be hearing from the Bureau's Civil Rights Division by morning." Vanessa turned to her son, unlocking the cuffs herself with a spare key from her pocket, one she carried for work, but never thought she'd need for her own child. Malik exhaled shakily, his hands finally free. And for the first time that night, Danner looked small, swallowed by the weight of his own arrogance and the silent judgment of every witness. The gas station fell silent, except for the faint buzz of the neon lights. Officer Danner stood motionless, his confidence crumbling as the reality of his actions sank in. The crowd's whispers grew louder, phones still raised, capturing the final moments of a confrontation that would soon echo far beyond that lonely corner of Atlanta. Vanessa guided Malik toward her SUV, her hand steady on his back. He moved like someone waking from a nightmare, every muscle heavy with disbelief. When they reached the car, she finally looked at him, really looked, and saw the fear she had fought all her life to protect him from. "I told you to stay calm, no matter what," she said softly. "But I never wanted you to have to use that lesson." Malik nodded, eyes downcast. "I did everything right, Mom." And it still wasn't enough. Her chest tightened. There were no perfect words for that kind of truth. She took a slow breath and looked back at the officer who now stood beneath the glare of cameras, his badge reflecting the same lights that had once given him power. "Justice," she said quietly. starts with accountability. Within hours, the footage of the incident would flood social media. By morning, Danner would be under investigation, suspended pending review. The headline would read, FBI agent confronts racist cop who detained her son, justice served. But beyond the outrage and the headlines, one truth would remain. Malik's story was not unique. It was a reflection of a much larger wound, one that countless families carried silently. As they drove away, rain began to fall again, soft against the windshield. Malik leaned his head back, trying to steady his breathing. His mother reached over, holding his hand. "Someday," she whispered, "things will change. And maybe kids like you won't have to prove their innocence before they're even heard." The camera would fade out there, a mother's quiet strength, a son's lingering fear, and a question that still haunts millions. How many more times must innocence be defended before justice finally speaks?